Between now and Selection Sunday on March 13th, there are still tons of regular season college basketball action to go. Plus, all of the conference tournaments and WagerTalk and Sports Memo are announcing their March Madness Bonanza special, which includes the rest of college basketball regular season, conference tournaments, NCAA tournament through the national championship, and any plays released in the NIT or CBI tournaments. Sign up for this promotion now at your favorite handicappers homepage and get the rest of the college basketball season through the national championship on Monday, April 4th for just $177. That's under $5 a day for one of the best betting experience in sports. Act fast as the March Madness Bonanza special is only available for a limited time.
Good morning, guys. Welcome in right here to WagerTalk TV. It is Thursday, March 3rd. You are watching Puck Time. I am Andrew McInnis, and I have Bryan Leonard with me. Carmine has the day off today, but we'll forgive him. We figured today we just have the guys with the nicest hair on the show today. And so, obviously, I'm sorry, Carm, but you couldn't make the show today for that one. Just Bryan and I today to run the show. But 4 games we're going to go over. It's a bigger slate, Bryan, than it was yesterday in the NHL, but some good games to discuss. Today we're going to talk about the Penguins, Lightning, Hurricanes, Capitals, Canucks, and Islanders, and the later game with the Bruins and the Vegas Golden Knights. Looking forward to breaking down some of these games with you, Bryan. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm excited for it, and a nice day of hockey, at least for myself yesterday. And I think as a group on the site, it was a nice day for just about everybody, regardless of the sport. So let's hope we continue on that path for you today, picking some NHL winners.
Absolutely. And just wanted to say great call by you there, Bryan, about the Sabres. I had the under 6.5 in that game as my best bet on the show, and I also released it for my clients. And I'll tell you what, if you would have told me the Leafs scored 1 goal, I would have told you I wasn't sweating out that under at all. So the fact that I was sweating out that under when they scored 1 goal was just a complete shocker to me. Hey, I'll take the result, and it definitely was kind of a flat spot there. But first game back with fans, and I got to think that if I'm a Leafs fan, I just don't want Carmine going to any more games because he gets all these tickets, he goes to all these games, but he wants them to lose. He's cheering against them. He's a jinx for the team. But it looked like Carmine had a really fun night last night, so happy for him there. And it looked like he had some pretty fun expense at Leaf fans as well. Our first game we're going to discuss, so let's dive right into it, Bryan. We'll go back and forth. We'll talk about some of these games, and we'll discuss some stuff up at WagerTalk in the process of the show and of the podcast here. The Penguins and the Lightning here. The Lightning minus 170 at home. Totals at 6 here. Pittsburgh plus 145. Line hasn't really moved. It stayed pretty steady since the opener relatively. What are your thoughts here, your opening thoughts in this game? Obviously, 2 top teams in the East and 2 teams that I expect to make some noise come playoff time.
Yeah, I just want to touch on the Buffalo game yesterday. There was my best bet on the show was the first period. So they ended up going 1-1. So I ended up pushing on that. But as I said, that plus 230, to me, it was a no-brainer. Either play it or you pass. And unfortunately, the rest of the game, they just completely outscored them. And I did have Buffalo plus 1.5 for my clients. I wish I'd had them straight up, but I'll gladly take the plus 140, 145 that we got. But yeah, when you take a look at this Pittsburgh Tampa Bay game, a lot of good games on tonight's schedule. A lot of good teams playing tonight, and in situations where I think we learned something tonight. We got a Pittsburgh playing a back-to-back. They play Tampa Bay tonight, and then they go to Carolina. But look at their schedule after that. They've got Florida, Vegas, Carolina, Nashville, and St. Louis on deck. This is a murderer's row right now for Pittsburgh, which is not a good thing when you're in a lot of these games are on the road. But I will say, I think this is probably their best chance to win. Tampa Bay's got Detroit tomorrow. No big deal. They'll be a huge favorite over Detroit, but they'll be the 3rd game in 4 days. And Pittsburgh right now, they know that they've got a rough time ahead when you get a team like that, where you've got all these really tough games in a row. They got to come out and expect to give their best efforts right off the bat, because this could easily turn into a losing streak for the Penguins here. The line somewhat surprised me. I expected it to be a little bit lower. Pittsburgh has been so good on the road. I know there's going to be some regression, but they've been so good on the road right now. And you got a Tampa team who's always very good at home. This may be a game that I could get some live value in betting. If Tampa Bay takes a 1-0 lead here and I can get even more at Pittsburgh, it may be a good time to get in there if the game is playing out the way I think it will for Pittsburgh. So slightly in Pittsburgh now, but I'll be looking to play some in-game on this, and maybe we can make some money later on.
Awesome. Brian, I'm definitely happy to start the show in agreement. We're both on the same page. I think that the dog is live in this game. I released the Pittsburgh Penguins actually to win the Eastern Conference to my clients a little while back. I think they're a great defensive team, and that's what they have going for them. And also, we all know what happened with Tristan Jarry in the playoffs last year. It's tough, and I'm someone that never ever likes to blame a goalie for a loss on. I'm usually, I guess, protective over goalies for some reason, but we all know what happened with him. But this year, he's been a whole different animal. I mean, he has a 2.12 goals against average on the road. This guy's a better goaltender on the road than he is at home, which is unbelievable. And you look at the schedule, like you said, coming up, I like the expression there, murderer's row, because it is not easy for this Pittsburgh Penguins team. And, when you go on these road trips, obviously any road trip, you preach having a good start, but specifically with this one, like you said, these players are aware of the road trip coming up. These guys know, how intense it's about to be. And, you kind of think that from a handicapping standpoint, the ones towards the end should be harder than the ones at the start, fatigue wise or just, battle tested and all that good stuff. And we got a Tampa Bay team right now, 12-2-1 their last 15 games. I've been known for quoting Marco's fat and sassy quite a bit here recently, and people have been kind of either liking it or not liking that expression. But whether you like it or not, it could be applicable, even though it's two top tier teams. I think Pittsburgh really is going to come focused in this one, and I'm kind of surprised we're getting plus 145 here. So if we can get a good defensive performance, I mean, one thing to remember about Tampa Bay is that although they've got Vasilevsky and Ned and great defensive core, they are known for playing more back and forth, trading goal type of games than Pittsburgh are. So, I would potentially lean to the under as well in this game. I think that the key to this game is going to be defense and really clogging up that neutral zone for the Pittsburgh Penguins and not trying to trade goals, because you know how dangerous Tampa Bay can be there as well. So, and power plays. I mean, talking about power plays, both teams, dangerous power plays. If you have the under in this game, you don't want either team to get on the special teams, and Tampa Bay can really make you pay there. So, nice to see Brian and I on the same page with Pittsburgh. Do you expect much movement in this game throughout the day, Brian? Like I said, I didn't see much movement overnight. Where do you think, do you think that it's going to move in favor of us, against us? What do you think here?
I would think there'd be more money coming in on the favorite here just because they're playing at home. It's gone down a little bit, open 180. I'm seeing as low as 165 up to 175 now. So
Okay.
I think it stays in that range. If it goes up a little bit more, I'll definitely be on Pittsburgh. I'm seeing 155 as a comeback here in Las Vegas, which is a little bit behind. As offshore is favoring Tampa a little bit more. But if I can get a 160 out of Pittsburgh, I'm going to add them to my card. I didn't get the number yesterday on the Kings I wanted, and that was luckily I didn't get that because they lost 4-3, I believe. But that's my goal on this. So if I get Pittsburgh plus 160, I'm going to send this one out to the clients as well.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be doing the exact same thing, just a matter of when, not if. And you bring up that Kings game. Right, I'm disappointed in myself because sometimes you got to just trust your instinct. And yesterday, I said that I stayed off the game because one of the main reasons, honestly, was because that they lost 7-0 to the Bruins. And I just don't like betting against teams that are off getting blown out like that. And, I saw the price climbing up for Dallas, and it was still a good night. I went 2-0, but you talk about it, you do shows all day, and you see a team win. And I've tried to get better at that, not like being mad I didn't play a game that I ended up being right on. You got to just kind of be like, okay, yeah, but it is what it is. But that was one of those ones. I mean, it was a team that I said is going to have a slower week this week than they did last week. There's a tougher schedule, and you talk so much about a team, and then and then it doesn't, you don't even play it. That's just what's frustrating. But hey, we do so many shows, you can't talk about all of them, right? You can't bet every game you discuss, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I hear people say if there's a Marco says this to me. Marco and I are really good friends, so I see him a lot, and we go out to lunch. He'll have a game where he doesn't play, and then he wants it to lose. A game right on the border, and he didn't play, and he comes out and he wants it to lose. I don't understand that. I mean, you want to be thinking correctly. So even if it's a game I didn't use, and as long as I'm right, I want to be right. I mean, I've never understand that way of thinking, and a lot of people do. That if it doesn't make their card, it's one of those that they drop off. They go, yeah, it could have been 5-0. Fine, it's good. It's good to be 5-0 on games you don't give out. It means you're thinking well. It's when it comes down to choices. I mean, the difference between a game that makes the card and a game that doesn't make the card sometimes is just minuscule, 5 cents in line value, that kind of thing. I would rather go the entire day, pass for my clients, knowing every lane I had won. That would give me more confidence the next day. So that's the way I look at it. Not everybody looks at it the same way.
No, I agree. I think that's a great way to do it. But I'm like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say that sometimes I'm not sitting there saying, I wish I played that. We're all human. But to your point, I've definitely tried to develop that instinct of thinking, okay, cool, I was right. Not, I was hoping they'd lose because I didn't bet them. It doesn't make sense to me. Why would you want to cheer for something that you vouch for all day long on shows to just lose? But yeah, no, it's a great point there made by you. And, even as handicappers, we talk about momentum all the time in sports and handicapping. But what about just for us as handicappers, seeing the ball go through the hoop? If you release 2 plays, you go 2-0. But the 3 other leans that you liked went 3-0 too. I wouldn't be mad about that because you could say you went 5-0 on plays you liked that day. So it's just all about, I guess, making sure that you're keeping yourself honest, and the plays you give out or the plays that you thought you liked as well, trying to recap those. But I got to ask you, we're going to jump into our next game here, and the Carolina Hurricanes are involved, and this has kind of been the talk of the town, I guess, from what I've seen this game here. Carolina, they're -125, Washington +105, and the total's at 6 in this game, Brian. And realistically, I'm not trying to talk about other people, but from what I've seen just bouncing around social media and stuff, everybody keeps saying, well, why is Carolina such a, low price? Why are they only -125? They're playing way better hockey right now. And there's several different reasons that we can call out, but putting all that stuff together and being on the road here and looking at this Washington Capitals team, we can all agree Carolina's been a lot more consistent of a hockey team. But is there something fishy here that you can you think for us, or is this a play here on the road team?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll look at it the same way, and I thought the same thing. I thought the line was pretty cheap for Carolina here. 5-game winning streak, lose last time out. I believe it was in overtime to Detroit. So nice bounce back situation. I think a lot of it is, and I've been guilty of this a lot, Washington started the year very well. And they were one of the teams, and I take a look at expected goals and all that. And they were early on in the season, really early, the first couple of weeks, they were one of the best teams in the NHL. And they just haven't played up to expectations. Now with your best player being a Russian, he's getting a lot of critical thoughts coming out that he's friends with Putin and the whole thing. It's extra things to worry about from a Washington standpoint because he can't be fully engulfed in these games, and he's your best player. I don't want to play Washington here. That said, I think there's value on Carolina, but after I did all my work on it, it's just not enough for me to be on Carolina here. But I would be concerned about playing Washington. First off, like I mentioned, they've been overhyped all season long. They just haven't played well since the first few weeks of the season. And from a talent perspective, they're there, and they've proven it in the past. But right now, until they could turn it around and get on some sort of a winning streak, I just can't back Washington.
Well, and after scoring just back-to-back games, they score 1 goal. And of course, the next game when they actually compete, score 3 goals, they're playing in a competitive game. It's against the Maple Leafs that they score 4 or 5 goals a game in large part. So that was kind of a tough one for them because even when they played what I thought was one of their better games, in about a week, Brian, they're playing against the Maple Leafs. So, it was a tough one for them there. For me, the biggest problem with this Capitals team isn't their goaltending, isn't their defense. It's to your point, it's the goal scoring. I mean, it's that top line that's not able to contribute right now. There's been a lot of pressure put on TJ Oshie since he's returned to the team. I do have kind of a funny feeling that we could see an over here, though. Having said that, I think that, like I said, we saw Carolina. They're playing super well. They had a winning streak going. And one thing funny is I've been talking that lately about, on every show I do about letdown spots. If you notice, a lot of these teams, you talked about it yesterday with the Maple Leafs. We look at that Carolina and Detroit game. One thing in March and April in the NHL is these teams make it very clear, not that they want to think like this, but it's just a fact that some games are more meaningful. And if you don't believe me, just look at some of the examples we've seen over the past 2 to 3 weeks, guys. And so now they can kind of get that reality check out of the way. And personally, I like it when these teams let that stuff happen or don't let that stuff happen, but when that stuff happens, because it wakes them up. I call it a reality check. So after losing to Detroit, Carolina will be refocused. Rod Brendamore will have the guys going, and hopefully the Capitals can find their scoring touch a little bit. So, and any thoughts there on the over 6, Brian? That's kind of what I was thinking. If I didn't play the side, I think we could see some goals here.
I have no opinion on the total, but I will touch on something you spoke about being the emotion and knowing when the team is going to come out and play well. That's a big basis of my handicapping. And as a fan, you've gone to enough games as I've gone to enough games being a season ticket holder. Sometimes the crowd, they get, if they're on a winning streak and and then all of a sudden a lesser team comes to town, it's like, okay, this is an easy win. We're just come out and have some beers with my friends, fall behind one. It's no big deal. So the fans are in the same boat as the players are. They come into the game knowing that, chances are we're going to win. You don't have the same energy. But there's other times when you go to a game and it's just fired up from the get-go. And if the fans are fired up, the players are fired up, and you're going to get the best effort out of that team. So it's impossible to play a full season without having your ups and downs emotionally. It happens in every sport, even with 16 games in the NFL, 17 games. You're going to find it. And there's spot plays to be out there, like we talked about yesterday with Buffalo. Nobody wanted Buffalo in that game. Everybody wanted Tampa Bay. I didn't see your final. You had that the thing going on Twitter yesterday. I looked at it, the first 10 or so people that entered, only one person picked Buffalo. Makes sense. I would be wondering if you go back, and since Buffalo was a $4 favorite, getting a 375, whatever, if there had been like a 5-1 on Toronto in that game, picking them straight up, that would have told me the fans are feeling the same way. The correct way to play that when you're in a contest like that is you should take the underdog. It's like when you're playing fantasy football, you take the quarterback that nobody else wants and hope he has a great game. If not, you're going to be on the same side as everybody else. So I don't do a lot of fantasy stuff, but you know as well as I do that you got to think though the bigger amount, the more amount of people that are in it, the more you have to think outside the box. So it'll be interesting. I don't know if anybody in the chat room went back and looked at that, but it'd be interesting how many people took the big favorite in that game.
Definitely. If you're doing fantasy pools, all that kind of stuff, just like office pool stuff, you got to go against the grain. You can't be picking everything that's supposed to happen. It's like you see those Super Bowl prop pools, and Brian, my father, we're very close, and he used to always send it to me when he was at work, and he would say, all right, we're doing this for my work, the office, like, let me know what you think. And he said, like, these are what some of my coworkers were doing, and it would be over. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, not every single receiver is going to go over the receiving yards. Not every quarterback's going to get 4 touchdowns, and it's kind of about going against the grain a little bit and picking some unders and stuff. And you mentioned those letdown spots and the emotion. I'm super excited I'm first of all excited for the meet and greet March 18th, but I got tickets for my friends and Carmine to the Vegas Golden Knights game against the Florida Panthers. And that will be just a great competitive game. The last time I was in Vegas, or I guess 2 years ago, I saw them play the Blackhawks, Brian. And that was just like a blowout for the Golden Knights. Don't get me wrong, I had a great time. But I'm really, really excited about this game in particular, just because it's obviously going to be two really close teams and a more competitive game. And obviously, I'll be cheering for the home team and the crowd, but I really kind of have no dog in the fight. So I just want to see a close game. Whereas the last time I was in Vegas and watched them, it was like, I think they won like 6-2 against Chicago, and it was fun, but it wasn't really competitive. So I get what you mean about, those close games and the emotion, even of the fans. But I was kind of surprised to see that from the Maple Leafs last night. First game and how long with fans in the stadium, and that's what they put on for their fans. But anyway, I've ripped on the Leafs enough in the last 24 hours. I've gotten it out of my system. So we'll move on from that. But I wanted to ask you, we're halfway through the games, just what you have up at WagerTalk.com for your clients, and what you're going to have up moving forward throughout the week.
Yeah, I had another winner yesterday on Buffalo plus the 1.5. Anytime I can get a plus number at plus money, chances are I'm going to be on it because nobody else wants that. And the lines maker doesn't like to put out plus monies on plus 1.5s. But it worked out yesterday. Small sample, obviously. Today I've got two plays going. I've got a 4% and a 3% up. Actually, it's two of the games we're not actually talking about today. So if you like anything we have on the show today, that's great. But if you want more action, it's up on the site right now. I put them at a $29 package, so it saves you $21. Still working on the basketball for today, and that'll be up a little bit later. But right now I've got the hockey up, and that's $29 for our top two plays. Number 1 on the site this year, number 2 on the site last year, and 36-15 run right now in hockey action.
Yeah, you are absolutely crushing it, Brian. I just want to congratulate you, man. Like, it is awesome. I have no problem being in second to you with the season you're having. It's not a competition. We, for all of you guys out there, we're all buddies. We all chat, and I just wanted everyone to do really well. So, if I can have an amazing season and finish second to Brian, and he's having even better, all the power to us. I just want everyone to do well. It's just been, like you said, Brian, it's been a great season for a lot of us in the NHL. A great start to 2022 for a lot of people at WagerTalk, which is amazing to see. Several different sports going really well. I can't wait for March Madness. I can't wait to be a part of it and get to hang out with you and all kinds of great people at the meet and greet. So I'm just really looking forward to it. I wanted to mention Prez has a 5% play tonight in the NHL. He's been really crushing those. He hit his last play on the Edmonton Oilers just a few short days ago. He does have one again tonight. So check that out over at his page. You can use wt.buzz /PZ and go to his page. So he's been really good across all sports and the NHL, especially. For me, I've just want to promote, guys, my 5% UFC play. And Brian, I know you're an underdog guy, so I'm excited to announce it's an underdog 5% play. So I'm pumped about that, guys. I was number 1 last year with 5% UFC plays. I'm on a 20-6 best bet run in the UFC. So super excited. I know many of you guys don't know me for UFC, but the stats don't lie. And it's been a really good run over the past several months. So super excited. UFC 272. I'm joining Steve and Teddy on WagerTalk today in probably about an hour's time. Going to break down a free play actually on the main event in that card. So check that out on WagerTalk today. Looking forward to breaking down some UFC. So going to go to our next game here. Vancouver Canucks and the New York Islanders. This is a pick'em game here, Brian. Total is 5.5 in this one. What are your thoughts here? I mean, the New York Islanders, are they improving? Are they a different team now? Obviously, the Canucks, they've been a little bit, on the road. They have homestands. They're back on the road again. Is it kind of a situational spot here that you're looking at?
This is interesting because for those watching, before the show, we sent out what we feel is our best bet on the show. And the best bet you sent was the opposite of the best bet that I was going to send. So this would be a fun little segment here because this is not going to be my best bet on the show. But I think we're going to go head to head on this one. It'll be interesting to look at. The Islanders, this is their first game home after being on the road. They got a 6-game homestand here. And if you go back, the last 15 games in New York in their home games, 13 of those 15 games, there's been 5 or less goals. This is a team, when they play at home, they seem to be more concerned with playing defense, similar to what they were a few years ago, where a team at home, you had to play good defense, or you didn't have a chance to beat them. Vancouver, on the other hand, 7 of their last 10 games overall have been 5 or less goals. I look at these two teams. Vancouver's a team that can't put points on the board and can score, but I'm not so sure the Islanders can. I think the Islanders are a better team when they stick back on defense, play to protect their goalie, and they've had a really good situation in that, where they've had a lot of talent. They just haven't played well on the season. Vancouver's a team that started slow, fired the coach, and has been a different team since. I prefer the Vancouver side here in a pick-up situation, but I like the under better. And that's probably what I'm going to bet in this game. But I'm sure, listening to you in this one, you'll be able to talk me out of it, and it won't make my card. But as of right now, I'm leaning towards the under.
That's funny. And, it's funny because it would have been funny if we just kept it, Brian. And it's just like at the end, all right, time for your best bet. And then it came over to me. All right, here's my best bet. That would have been pretty funny. But look, I think that this Vancouver team, after Travis Green left, Bruce Boudreau took over. They became a new team. It was a shoot first mentality. It was kind of like what we're seeing with the Canadians right now. Have more fun out there. All the cliches you can think about. And then they kind of went back to reality for a little bit. They weren't that, 5 goals a game team. And you even look at the Islanders. You take a look at some of the scores that we've seen from them, and you've touched on it. I mean, what this team is like at home. But looking at the matchups that I've seen from them against teams that can score, against teams that minimally, like they, playing against teams like Seattle and weaker teams in the NHL, I can trust New York to score 100%. But when it's against a team in a pick'em situation that I think is a good competition for them, I just really don't think they can win in low scoring fashion against Vancouver. I think that they're going to have to trade goals. I think it's going to be 1st to 4 wins this game. I think that mix in the kind of the weird travel for Vancouver. They've been on the road. They're back at home again. Okay, let's start a road trip again here. I mean, it's been kind of up and down here for this Vancouver team. And I understand that the Islanders are one of the biggest home road splits as far as the data goes in the league, maybe, or at least they used to be. Maybe not anymore, but they definitely used to be, because Carm used to always mention that. But I don't know. I think the Islanders will be able to get theirs as well. They're coming off a tough game against the Avalanche, and I always think when you come off a game against a team like that, of the magnitude of the Avalanche or the Tampa Bay Lightning or any team like that, your next game, you got to expect an awesome offense, because even I always say that there's a difference between scoreboard watching, stat watching, and watching an actual game. If you watch that game, Islanders and Avalanche, I'll tell you what, the Islanders played a great game. They played well. There's a reason why at a lot of shops you can get Colorado at like plus 400 to win the whole thing. They're a very, very, very good team. So even though the Islanders lost that one 5-3, I still think it was a great performance from them. I still think they created plenty of opportunities, and Vancouver will allow a lot more. So at 5.5, I'm going over here. I think we're going to see both teams trade goals. We do have some good goaltenders, though, Brian. So that definitely helps your under here. But I think we'll get over the total here as Vancouver on the road here in New York. But definitely not good when I've got somebody having the season that you have, and you're telling me you like the opposite of me. So thanks for that vote of confidence, Mr. Leonard. I really appreciate that. But hey, we started the show on a good note. We've been agreeing quite a bit, but let's jump into our last game here. I've got a lot more to say about this last one, and I think that we probably both do, because it's going to be a really exciting game. The Boston Bruins and the Vegas Golden Knights at T-Mobile Arena. Totals 5.5 here. Like I said, pick'em game. If you do want the puck line for the Vegas Golden Knights, you can get that at plus 230. I think the Vegas Golden Knights are about to go on a good stretch, but they're playing a really, really talented and red hot Boston Bruins team. Since January 1st, this Bruins team has played some great hockey. They figured it out defensively, but not only that, Brian, and the number one thing I discuss on every show that I do here on Puck Time is you need to have several contributors. Guess what we're finally seeing from the Bruins? Several guys on the score sheet. I mean, that's what I've really found. I've seen, the fact that Jake DeBrusk got a hat trick, to me, that shows the whole team, like, hey, let's all wake up and get going. If you're a prop better right now, you're having a tough time picking props for the Boston Bruins. And Brian, I think that's a good thing for this team. They're getting a lot more diversification around their team goal scoring wise, and it's a real good thing for them.
Yeah, Boston, when you take a look at expected goals all season long, I kept saying that this is a team that's better than what they've shown. And now that they've got basically everybody back again, they've been terrific. You take a look at what they've done. The last 9 games, Boston has only allowed 16 total goals. That's a team that's playing well. If you don't allow goals in bunches, you're going to win a lot of games. Even though Boston's not a team that's known for their offense, they're playing a Vegas team right now that, as much as I love my local team, I want no part of them right now till they get Pacioretty back. Without Pacioretty and Stone, even with Eichel, he's new to the system, and he's playing pretty well, but they just don't have enough scorers. And that's the problem you run into here. You're playing, the Knights have scored 13 goals in their last 7 games. That included 2 games against San Jose, who's really injured, and 1 game against Arizona, who with Seattle, maybe the 2 worst teams, in Buffalo, maybe the 3 worst teams in the NHL. So you haven't produced high-quality games offensively against any type of team with any type of defense. And the way Boston's playing right now, these goals are going to be hard to find. At least for myself, I think the under is probably the way to look at this, but I prefer Boston in this game. I really, all night long, before we were getting the lines, I was thinking, come on, give me Boston at plus 120. Then it would be a 4% play for me. And then I looked, and the first thing I see was like basically a pick 'em. And I said, it's where I thought it should be. Maybe, and I still think there's a little bit of value, but the lines makers have caught up to it. The fans have caught up to it. This is not the same Vegas team right now as it's been in the past. And Dadonov just left the last game, so down another forward. So this is a team right now that's really having a hard time finding themselves, and I can't expect them to score more than 2 goals against this Boston defense. I like the under. I like Boston. In fact, the better play may be to play Vegas under in goals, and I know that's something you like to do, team totals. I'm going to take a look at that when they get posted, and that might be the better way to play this. But unfortunately, I don't think my home team is going to win tonight.
Are you going to the game tonight, Brian?
Actually, Marco's got the game, but I will be there this weekend. And you mentioned the Florida game. I'm really looking forward to that one. That'll be a fun game. Though, unless we get some players back, I don't think it'll be fun from a winning standpoint. But maybe we can get a little bit of a betting advantage in that one.
Well, that's the funny thing. So, of course, being the better that I am, I was like, well, guys, and my friends, it's first time they're going to be in Vegas, first time, to go to sports books and stuff. And they're like, well, we have to bet on the game. And I was like, well, you don't have to, but I mean, it'd be fun if we do. And I was like, well, it's 2 teams that have talent. We could take the over. And of course, this is like a month ago when we booked this, right? And seeing the injuries now. And so then one of my good friends, it'll be his first ever hockey game, like professional game in person, Brian. And he said,
Awesome.
well, I know it'd be kind of immoral if we bet on the Panthers, but that might be the play. And he goes, I don't really want to be at the home arena and just be absolutely electrified, like cheering for, and he's like, screw that, man. We got to pay for our dinner after. Like, let's have some fun. So we might be at the game cheering for the away team, which might not be a good look, but it is what it is, right?
Well, I do it myself, and I'm a season ticket holder. I don't cheer for the away team, but I'm very quiet during the game. And then after the game, my wife says, what's the matter with you? I said, I had the visitor. She goes, well, at least you want some money. And I said, yeah, but I don't want to root against my team. But hey, there's fandom and there's money and there's client plays, and I want to win. That's all it comes down to.
Absolutely, 100%. It's kind of like when Marco, I think he wore like a Vegas jersey and a Pittsburgh hat, or vice versa.
Hmm.
I think it was a
Yeah.
Flurry jersey and a I mean, you never, for me, I never want to lose my fandom for sports. You've been doing this a lot longer than me, Brian, but I know I'm young, but I love the Montreal Canadiens. I'm a huge Raptors fan. I'm a Blue Jays fan. I'm always going to cheer for my teams. I cheer on my bets. I cheer on my wagers. The clients are most important to me. But in my downtime, I can promise you that when the Canadians are playing, even if it's a season like this, I get a different level of excitement in me. Just I'm excited to watch my favorite team. I'm not excited, to just watch one of the many bets that I make every single day of the year. I'm excited to watch my favorite team, and sometimes that's just a little bit different. Obviously, we all kind of keep our our we don't bet with our hearts or anything like that, but sometimes it's nice. Like, I'm sure for you, like, going to a Vegas game that you don't have action on it, you're just there as a fan, right? And it probably is just a different feeling.
Yeah. Fandom doesn't pay the bills, is what I say. And you can root for your team as much as you want, and I do. And most of the teams I root for are not very good because I'm from Cleveland originally, and we've got lousy teams. But yeah, it's a situation that you got to put it in your back pocket. I'd love for the Cavaliers and the Indians to win, but if I think there's value on the other side, I want to win my bet, and that's all it comes down to. I got to pay the bills, got to pay the mortgage, got to pay for going out to dinner with all my friends, and yeah, it's as much as you root for your team. It's different when you bet, and if you do bet with your heart, it's a tough thing to do. You got to learn to put that away. And in fact, for myself, I would say 67% of the time I'm betting against my team I'm rooting for.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I was betting with my heart and trying to pay bills betting on my team this year, I'd probably be homeless. So definitely not a good year to bet with my heart and bet with the Montreal Canadiens. That's for sure. I just watch them as a fan. Lots of fun doing this show with you, Brian. Great to have you. I appreciate you being on back-to-back days. We'll have Karn back tomorrow with his 6 and 60 segment. We'll break down several games as well. Let's jump right into best bets here on the show. We do not have the same game here, although Brian's got me worried about the one I have. No, we're still feeling pretty good about it. But Brian, remind the folks at home what you have up for grabs and your best bet, man.
Yeah, we'll have our full card up in basketball and in hockey later. But right now, two plays up in hockey: a 4% play and a 3% play. $29 for the package, saves you $21 from buying them individually. Even better, just wait till we put up our college basketball and NBA for today. Grab the whole day for $39. That's what I'll be working on as soon as the show ends. Don't know if I'll get there with the under in the game that Andrew and I disagree with, because I trust his ability in totals more than I trust my own. But I will be watching that, and I will be choosing to root for my side on that, which would be the under. But I wish you the best. But yeah, we just talked about the Vegas game, Vegas against Boston. Sure, I would have loved to have gotten Boston as an underdog. I still think there's value there. Team playing great defense, and Vegas right now can't find the back of the net for anything. It's a shame, but without their best two offensive players, Eichel's there, but without Stone and Pacioretty, this offense has done nothing all season long. If one of them's been missing, this team just can't score. So I look for a lower scoring game here, and I think Boston wins it 3-2, 3-1, something in that range.
Great stuff, Brian. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for your time today. Guys, once again, just for me, I know it's a hockey show, but I do want to promote that UFC 5% play. It's an underdog, 20-6, last 26 best bets. Check it out over at WagerTalk.com. Super excited about it. Like I said, giving out a free play on the main event of that card in just about 30 minutes time with Steve and Teddy. So really pumped. Make sure you check out Prez and his 5% hockey play going today. When he releases 5% plays, he's pretty dialed in with those. So check those out. Grab the 5% play from Prez. And hey, for the best bet, we're going to that over. We're going to the over, Vancouver and New York. And taking a look at some of the games Vancouver's been involved in recently, I just kind of don't want to go against that trend of 7-2, 5-2, 7-1, 5-2, a 7-4 mixed in there. And New York's, they're coming off a tough game, but a game against a Colorado team that I think if they played the way they did against many other teams in the league, they would have won. So they should still feel confident, even in defeat. And hopefully we get over 5.5 goals in this one as the Canucks are on the road taking on the Islanders. So that'll wrap things up for today's show. Once again, to recap, Brian is on the Boston Bruins on the money line, and I have the Canucks and the Islanders over 5.5. We'll try and do well once again with the best bet today. Once again, thank you to Brian for joining me. Thank you to my producer, Dan, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Between now and Selection Sunday on March 13th, there are still tons of regular season college basketball action to go. Plus, all of the conference tournaments and WagerTalk and Sports Memo are announcing their March Madness Bonanza special, which includes the rest of college basketball regular season, conference tournaments, NCAA tournament through the national championship, and any plays released in the NIT or CBI tournaments. Sign up for this promotion now at your favorite handicappers homepage and get the rest of the college basketball season through the national championship on Monday, April 4th for just $177. That's under $5 a day for one of the best betting experience in sports. Act fast as the March Madness Bonanza special is only available for a limited time.